Hello game devs, in this tutorial we are going to create a beautiful light system together. This light system is completely dynamic and real time. And with this system we can create some light like this. So, if you want to know how you can create some light like this, watch this tutorial. First, let's take a look at what this algorithm is and how it works. Look at this circle here. We have a circle, for example, right there. This circle have a center, and we have an obstacle, for example, here. Okay, at first we choose some points on our circle, like here, here, and here. Then we create some vectors from this center to this point, like this, and then we make some other points here, for example, here, 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 and here, and here. These points are the collision points of this vector to some obstacles, and then we connect them together. We will have an light, and here, as you see, it won't be a nice light. But why? Because the count of our vectors are really low, and at first we have to increase them, and when we increase them we will have a smooth light. Okay, let's test it out here in paint, for example, and as you see, now we have really a smoother light here. Okay, but how we are going to implement this algorithm in the Unity? We will use Raycasts to make these vectors, and then we will use an SpriteShape to create the shape of our light. Okay, let's go to Unity and create this light. As I said, at first we need a circle, so we create a circle here, and then we need that vectors that I talked about them before. So we create some empty game objects here and then put it there. Okay, let's create our first script called custom light, and we need a list of vector trees to store our points, the collision points. Pay attention, we have to import this package here, the generic collection package. We want our light to be real time, so we have to create our light in update function. At first I want to define a vector tree as our center point, and it's equal to transform dot position. Then I want to define another vector tree called point, and this is that empty game object that we created in the Unity. Here we have two options to get access to that point. One of these options is we do the same things that we did here, and we define this game object in the inspector, or here we can use transform.getChild method to get the child of this game object. And because we have just one child, so we can just set the index 0, and then we can get the transform.position of this game object. And then we need another vector tree as our ray, and it is equal to point minus center. Then we need a for loop to rotate our circle and create some different rays, and this for loop have to be here before we define our ray. Here I want to define an integer to show us the count of ray and points that we are using here to create our light. And here in this for loop we have to use these counts, and then here in this for loop we are going to create our ray. So we have to cut this from here to here, and then we have to use physics 2d dot raycast, and then we have to pass it the center, the ray, and the length of the rays that we are going to use. Here I want to define it here, and then create an raycast, hit 2D, and we put this here called hit. And then we have to use this hit to calculate the collision points. But we have a problem here, and we may don't have any collision points. For example, in this example here, this or this or these rays here didn't collide to any obstacles, so we won't have any points here. Because of that, we have to check here to make sure that we have a point here. So if we had any points, we have to add a point to our list, and this will add this point to our list here. But what else? We didn't have any hit, so create L segments here, and here we have to calculate the end of our rays manually. But how? Please pay attention here. Collision.point.add, and here we have to create our point. Center is the center of our circle. Then we add the ray vector multiply to length. But we have a problem here, and what is this problem? The problem is that our ray might be greater than 1, and if this ray be greater than 1 or maybe less than 1, it won't give us the correct endpoints. So we have to normalize this vector here, and then it is correct and we can use it. And after all of this, we have to rotate our circle. But before that, we have to know how much we want to rotate. So to know that, we create an float value here, and then we can use it here. Transform dot rotate vector 3 dot forward, and the angle divide to count, and this function will rotate our circle. And after all of this, we have to reset our rotation, because in the next frame we will use it again and create new light. And we have to clear our list here. Now we need something to create a sprite from our points, and we have something in Unity to do this. Here create a SpriteShape and closed shape. This is what we are going to use here to create our line. Look at this object here. We can add some point and create some different shapes that we want. We need this shape to create our light. Because of that, we called it light, and then let's use it in our script. We have to define that here, sprite. Here we use our light to insert points. Spline dot insert point at. We need a for loop to insert our points in this sprite shape, and then we pass the index and the point. Let's test it out. And here we make a 2D, and then we add a box collider to it. Okay, let's test it out. Okay, we have an error here, and let's try to debug it together. To find the problem, we can use this method in Unity. Here see our point here is here and then is here. Okay, I understand what is the problem. The problem is that Unity update the transform every frame, and when we update a transform between two frames, we have to wait until the transform be updated in the next frame. But here we update our transform between two frames, and we expect that we will have a new rotation, and because of that we made a mistake. So what we have to do here, we can use another functionality to rotate our vector. Here we don't want to rotate our circle anymore, we just rotate our ray and it will do the same work for us. So we define this before our for loops, then erase this line. Here I want to calculate my rotation. Because of that I use a Cartesian Cartesian rotation here, and then we have to pass two parameters here. The first one is our angle and the axis. Our angle is our divide to, and our axis is vector 3 dot forward. And here we have to multiply our rotation to our array. Please pay attention here in this multiply. The order is important. If I put this here and then put this, we will have an error, so you have to place them in this order. We have another problem here, and we are inserting some points to our SpriteShape, but we don't but it isn't what we want. We want to replace them. So as I said, let's check is I equal or greater than our light dot spline dot get count, and if it's greater than, we have to insert that points, else we can just set them. Okay, here with this for loop we replace the points, and so let's go and test this. So as you see, our light is working good, but it is in the wrong direction. So here instead of forward we can use back. Now everything is okay, but we have a problem, and this light here has an offset. Why? Because it's not in the 0 position, and now everything is okay. Now see, our light is working correct, but it's not smooth. So how we can make it better? Let's first move here, move it here, and then our circle we can decrease it, and for example it is 50. But here, as you see, we have another problem, and the problem is that our first point have to be in the center of our circle, but we didn't do that. Okay, so here we just set a point. This have to be I plus 1, because the first one is what we place that manually, and this. Okay, let's test this. Here we have our light. It's working cool, but actually it's not what I want. We have to make it so nicer. So let us start with this white space here, and we have to delete them. But how we can erase this border here? Let's take a look at this here. Here we have an height, and when we decrease this, our border disappear. Okay, let's come here and light dot split dot set height I plus 1 to 0. And now we have this. Actually, we have to set that for our first point. We have this beautiful light here. See, this is how beautiful is our light. We can come here and increase the count of our rays, and now we have this beautiful light here. But when we are moving this circle, we have this error. This happens when two of these points are really close together, and so we can solve this problem with a try catch like this. We say try, then we come put this here, and when we catch an error, we call the update method, return the update method and return. But before that, we have to clear our list and our lights. But be careful, if we can clear our light here, these two lines here may make some problem for us. So we have to use this if else segments here too, but here we just add 0 to it and then put them here and here 0 and center and 0. Okay, let's test. And now take a look at this beautiful light that we made together. It's really smooth and with a really good performance. I want to end this tutorial with some colors. I want to use a website called colors.co, and we can use this website to create some colors for our games. And I want to use this color for my main camera color, and then this white here to my light. And then I want to decrease this number. Okay, now we have this beautiful light and my skewer, and as you see, our light is working completely good. Okay, I think it's enough for this tutorial, and we create a beautiful light system together. I hope we'll see you in the next video, and goodbye.